and good afternoon. We're going to talk today about masks or muzzles. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Of course, it's in the Corona crazy, and maybe you knew and maybe you didn't know, but there was this Instagram, I think it was an Instagram post, Carrie Walsh Jennings. I don't know if you remember her, if you watch the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, and you watch her in the beach volleyball. And I have watched her for years, and I think she's fabulous, and I'm not going to just be shy about telling you I'm a little bit jealous of her athletic ability, right? But she's awesome. Well, she posted on her Instagram this week that she was feeling brave. Let me see what it says. I went shopping without a mask as part of a little exercise in being brave. And she was really castigated on social media because she said that she was being brave. And so I just want to say, I don't wear a mask. Don't send me hate mail because you're not going to change my mind, okay? I don't wear a mask because the Surgeon General has said, and this is in PubMed, so if you're going to do your own research, which I hope you do, I hope you look at the PubMed articles because they are supposed to be scientific and they are as reliable of an information as we can get, okay? And so I'm going to turn my face and read off my screen. It says the Surgeon General advises against buying masks for use by healthy people, okay? Universal mask usage in the community has also been discouraged with the argument that face masks provide no effective protection against the coronavirus. So that's what the Surgeon General says. There have been 0 double-blind, placebo-controlled studies to prove that a mask stops the spread of coronavirus. I'm going to read an article to you by a pediatrician who says that wearing a mask for healthy people, particularly children, is just not safe. Now, I'm going to tell you, we went to lunch. We go to church every Sunday. We went to lunch after church. And I really like this restaurant because it does a great breakfast. And it's not the one that you see on every corner. It's a different one. It is a chain restaurant, but they have a different breakfast, and I like it. And so I wanted to go there because I hadn't eaten before we went to church. And when we went into the restaurant was about halfway empty. And we walked in. We did not have a mask. And the lady, she didn't really have, and we've been to this restaurant like multiple times in the last 2 or 3 months. We've never been harassed or hassled about a mask. Of course, when you go to the door of an establishment, and it's got this big sign on it that says masks are required, blah, 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 it's very intimidating, okay? So I can understand that, this lady says that she was having a little act of bravery because it is intimidating when you're going into a business and they're putting up this thing about masks. Anyway, we went in. The restaurant was almost empty. They would not let us stay in the restaurant until our table was ready, which was going to be, a few minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And they wanted us to wait in the car for, that time, and it's 100 degrees outside. And we said, no. We'll just go somewhere else where we can go in and it's not a hassle. And so this is the thing. Businesses are losing money, right? They're losing money because of this. And this is kind of harassment. So I can see how she says that it is an exercise in bravery. Okay, she's 42 years old. And this is what she says. We are all endlessly complaining about the restrictive and arbitrary selective rules that we are being strongly suggested to follow, and yet we are all consenting. Not much of a fight, just a lot of complaining and strongly disagreeing with this manipulation, but we keep consenting, okay? It's maddening. It has crushed our society, people's livelihoods, our children's spirits, and the fabric of our world. We have become a country and a world estranged from each other, and it is more deeply unhealthy than any virus could ever be. And I just want to say, yes, this is absolutely right. We were made for human connection. When you isolate a society, when you put masks on a society, you absolutely ruin their immune system. And so this is something that I'm very, very passionate about. I've got grandchildren that actually their parents moved them from a school district because the school district wanted them to be masked from the time they entered the school building until the time they exited the school building. Now, what do you notice most when you're looking at a person? You notice their eyes and you notice their smile. When you've got a mask, when you've got a face shield, if you've got a mask and glasses, maybe, I don't know, you're definitely not seeing the smile, and you're not maybe seeing the light in their eyes. I will tell you that intimidation and fear and hostility is very, very depressive for the immune system. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the only thing that's going to keep you well is your own immune system. Not anything I give you, not anything a medical doctor is going to give you, it is your own immune system. Now, we do give you supplements to make your body work the way your body is supposed to work. So when a pathogen comes into your field, your body responds to it the way it is supposed to respond to it. And this is why when I was asked this week by an older lady who came in, and she's very, very depressed. Her children are, just ragging on her. Mom, you can't go anywhere. You can't go. She's a widow. Both of her children live thousands of miles away, and her church is closed, and she is absolutely isolated. And she asked me, she said, "Aren't you afraid of the virus?" I said, "I'm absolutely not afraid of the virus." And she said, "Why not?" I said, "Well, because I know how my immune system works, and I know that if I wake up and I don't feel well, I've got things in my cabinet that I can take every 2 hours, and by the end of the day, I'm going to be perfectly well. And so this is why I do what I do." And she said, "But that doesn't help me." I said, "You have me. I can tell you what to do. You don't want to be walking around in fear and intimidation." Okay, so I want to read a little article by a medical doctor. She's a pediatrician. She graduated in 1982, so she's a grown-up, okay? And she did her pediatric residency at the University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey, okay? She had a private practice in Boston, so she is a pediatrician. She's talking to us about masks. She says, and this is very interesting, and this is the emotional component here. If you say no to a vaccine or to chemotherapy or to statin drugs or any other medical procedure or intervention you do not wish to have, no one knows you have refused as you walk down the street, browse in a shop, go to school, enjoy your day at the beach, or attend a movie, a play, or a concert. It is your own private business. If people have not been vaccinated, or if they find out that you are a full-fledged anti-vaxxer, then a lot of hatred may be directed at you. While many are aware of the dangers associated with vaccines, the majority still buy into the party line that vaccines are safe and effective, and feel that it is everyone's duty to society to be vaccinated and to protect the health of others. Now, I'm just going to tell you, no one is responsible to protect my health. I am protecting my own health. It's not your responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility. It's not the city father's responsibility. It is solely up to me to be smart and to do what I need to protect my own health, okay? Mask requirements and mask mandates have completely changed these dynamics. You may have done your research. You may have understood completely that there is no science to support that a healthy person wearing a mask does anything except make the mask wearer ill, okay? It does nothing to stop the virus. You may even know that wearing a mask can increase or induce a variety of medical and psychological problems, right? If you don't know that, you need to do your research. Don't research on social media. Research on doctors, research on edu websites, research on PubMed website documents, because those are the ones that are going to tell you the real truth, okay? When you breathe, okay, we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, okay? Carbon dioxide is an exchange of gases, yes, I know that. But also when you breathe, if you breathe from the diaphragm and you breathe deeply, you are actually negative particles, pollen, bacteria, viruses, or whatever, what you're expelling, right? When you have that mask on, your breath, people use their own breath to fog up their glasses so they can clean their glasses. So your breath is hot, your breath is humid. It gets in that paper mask or a cloth mask, either one. It makes it damp. What grows in dampness? Mold and bacteria, right? So if you wear a mask all the time and you're breathing into that mask, you're exhaling all of the pathogens that you have in your lungs, and then you are rebreathing that because you are trying to suck air through that mask. And so you're uptaking those pathogens that you were trying to get rid of. And this is what we don't want to do. Now, there have been multiple examples that I have read of people going to the doctor and they do have some kind of respiratory illness because they have been wearing a mask. Now, I'm going to tell you a funny story. A patient family that I have that come in, they don't wear their masks, but they go to church and they do home studies and they have school and they have all these other things, and they have close friends that always wear a mask. And so it just so happened that this week, the lady that always wears the mask woke up, had a fever, went to the doctor. Guess what? The lady that always wears the mask has COVID, all right? The people that don't ever wear a mask, they're fine. So you're going to see these stories over and over again, and it may not be COVID, it may be pneumonia, it may be something else, because we are all dirty on the inside. That's why we sweat, that's why we poop, that's why we pee, that's why we breathe heavy, because we're trying to get all these things out of our body. We do not live in the Garden of Eden, right? So I have on clothes, they're not necessarily 100% cotton. I think this is a cotton polyester blend. So it's a synthetic blend. It's got dye or it's got chemicals or whatever it's got in it. I'm picking it up through my skin because my skin absorbs what I wear. When I breathe heavy, when I breathe out, I'm expelling those things. That's one of those channels of elimination, all right? So when you wear a mask, you're going to be introducing into your own body physical and psychological problems, all right? She goes on, this doctor goes on, it says, it seems fairly obvious that the mask orders have been put into place to, 1, control us, and 2, divide us. And they appear to be doing a good job. Unlike refusing vaccines, a choice that is invisible to others, declining to wear a mask is the first thing that people notice about you these days. This immediately sets up for division and polarizes us before we even can say hello. Smiling is becoming a thing of the past, okay? And this is true. I know that we have people that come into our clinic, they come in with a mask, and I bring them in here, and I'll say, you know, are you sick? And they'll say, no, we're not sick. I said, then it's okay for you to take your mask off. And everyone, oh, thank you so much. I hate this. And they rip it off, and we have a good consult, and it's all good. They don't understand that when they wear a mask, they are actually hurting themselves. So the doctor goes on, and she says, I estimate that perhaps 50% of the population who thinks that wearing a mask is a good idea has never stopped to think about the ramifications of their compliance. They wear the mask almost all the time, even if they wear it incorrectly. They are on board with the agenda to obediently comply, and they are now referred to as pro-maskers. The other 50% that wear a mask, that understand that wearing a mask is unnecessary, unhealthy, and ridiculous. Let's call these people anti-maskers. Even though they understand the myth of the mask, most anti-maskers still will wear a mask for a variety of reasons. They think it is the law. They are worried about confrontations. They want to be approved of as a quote-unquote good citizen. They believe that they are doing a small act to make others feel more comfortable. Now, I want to address this because I had a patient that came in this week, and she told me that she had left her church because her church wanted people to wear masks. She didn't want to wear a mask. She was intelligent. She was educated. And the church actually had masks for sale. and the proceeds went to some kind of church program and that kind of thing. And I don't have a problem with that. If you want to buy a mask, buy a mask. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. But those people that don't want to wear a mask should not have to wear a mask. The lady was telling me that she felt so disrespected by the purveyors of the mask that she felt insulted, she felt intimidated, and she made the decision she did not want to worship with people that did not respect her boundaries, right? So wearing a mask is polarizing. Not wearing a mask is polarizing. How do we set ourselves up so that we're not hurt at an emotional level if someone confronts us, whatever side of the spectrum we're on, okay? You do what you want to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. There should be a live and let live on this, okay? If there were science that said, if you, healthy person, wear a mask, you're going to prevent unhealthy person from getting a disease, I might have a different perspective, okay? There is no double-blind placebo-controlled study, and I think there are like 82 other studies that prove that wearing a mask does not protect anybody else and does not stop the spread of a respiratory virus, all right? She goes on to say, while anti-maskers are not trying to force pro-maskers to stop them from wearing a mask, the same cannot be said for the pro-maskers. They forcibly push the pro-masking agenda by denying face mask-free shoppers. A lot of words here. Now, I will just tell you, when we go to the store, we don't wear masks. People will say as we go into the store, do you have a mask? And we'll say, no, we don't wear a mask. And they'll go, okay. Now, they may give us death stares behind us, right? But it's our right as American citizens, we still live in America. The Constitution says that you have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? It does not make me happy to be walking around anywhere with a mask on where I can't breathe, right? Breathing is really beneficial to my health. It's beneficial to my happiness. It's beneficial to my attitude. It's beneficial to my mental clarity. And so for those reasons, I don't wear a mask. If I were sick, I would stay home, okay? Most intelligent people are like that. If they are sick, they will stay home. I do understand that people have been accosted at stores. I do understand even when we go out to eat, like I say, we don't wear a mask, and sometimes the staff is really hostile about us not wearing a mask. Now, I try not to internalize that. I understand that they're afraid. I understand that the boss has said you have to do that, and they're in a no-win situation because they work for somebody that's not informed. They work for someone that has not thought this through. They work for someone that hasn't done the research. I'll just tell you, your school administrators mostly have not done the research. I've heard from 2 parents that went and had meetings with school personnel, board of directors, superintendent of the board, and that kind of thing. They went with their research that shows that children, number 1, are not carriers of the virus, and number 2, they're not really going to be, spreading anything. And number 3, all the different statistics. They went really, really prepared with great statistics. The school board people did not have any statistics. They had not looked it up. They're just going by what the CDC says. They're just going about what the teachers union says, whoever the governing body is. They're not doing their own research. Now, I'm going to segue a little bit. When you add fluoride to the water, and they came out with this, I think in the 70s, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, they came out saying if we add fluoride to the water, then you're going to have less tooth decay, and everybody bought into it. Well, the research has shown that that is not true, okay? That's just not true. I've got on my Podbean, I've got quite a few episodes of fluoride and what fluoride does. Hitler used fluoride with the German people because fluoride dumbs you down. Fluoride takes away your fight. It makes you more compliant. So I think there is this thing in our society that we are more compliant because we have had fluoride in the water, and that's not a good thing. We have filters to take the fluoride out of our water because we know that it is a heavy metal. It sets up in the brain. It causes all kinds of problems. It calcifies the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is in your brain. Your pineal gland is connected directly through sunlight, through the optic nerve. And so if it calcifies, you've got a lot of problems with your whole endocrine system. And that is your system that makes all of your different hormones. So your sex hormones, yes, but also your thyroid, adrenal, pancreatic, all those other kind of hormones as well. So you need to know that when you have fluoride, it dumbs you down, it sets you up for all kinds of problems, and this might be why we are all compliant. We don't want to be compliant, especially when people are asking us to do things that are hurting us. So what I want you to be doing is to be exercising your critical thinking skills and say, okay, the Surgeon General says don't do it, all right? PubMed says don't do it. This doctor is saying don't do it. Why are we doing it? That's a question. What is the motivation? It's not to keep us healthy because it has been proven. I think there were 82 studies that prove that wearing a mask does not stop the transmission of a respiratory virus. So if that is the science and we're supposed to be following the science, what is the ulterior motivation to keep people masked? Just going to say that. Okay, so it says, to avoid the pro-mask, heavy-handed compliance rules, many people are seeking a medical or religious medical exemption to avoid being coerced into wearing a mask against their will. The mask mandates come with a list of exceptions, especially medical conditions. A medical exemption is written to provide immunity to a political regulation, or at least it is supposed to. Exemptions to refuse vaccines have been used for decades and are codified into laws in most states, but they are only written to apply to school-age children, grades K through 12. Because the vaccine exemption laws were written more than 100 years ago for most states, vaccine exemptions do not apply to college, business, or industry. It is important to understand that up until now, mask recommendations were just that, recommendations. They are not legislatively enacted laws and thus do not technically need to be obeyed, okay? So, in the Christian circles, people will say, but the Bible says obey the laws of the land. Yes, the Bible does say obey the laws of the land. The laws of the land are written in a legislative session where both houses of the state are in session, your representatives and your senators, right? They come together, they duke it out, they come to an agreement, and then it goes up the steps to become a law. Nowhere in the whole United States has any mask mandate been codified into law. It is a suggestion. They're calling it a mandate, but it is not a law, okay? Now, giving them the benefit of the doubt back in February, March time when nobody knew what this virus was going to do, I understand everybody doing what they did to flatten the curve. I totally understand that. No harm, no foul there. But we're 6 months into this, right? We know a whole lot more now. The curve has been flattened. It was even reported in national news that the Houston area where I live have been inflating their numbers from cases months old in order to keep the political lockdown. They're not following the science. So you have to ask yourself, what is the ulterior motive? I don't know if you heard yesterday, but there was a school representative, I think she was a school representative, may have been a health representative in California, talking about when the children can come back to school. And she said, we are not able to open up the schools, we're not able to get rid of the mask, we're not able to relieve these COVID restrictions until after the election. She wasn't supposed to say that, okay? But that's what she said. And so it made all the news yesterday, and I thought, wow, somebody was really brave to go ahead and say that, okay? Let me just say again, there is no law in any state in the United States, as far as I know, unless it just happened in the last week or two, where it went before both houses, it was passed, the governor signed off on it, and it became an actual law of the land. I don't know that that's ever happened, okay? The doctor goes on, can we claim medical or religious exemptions to avoid wearing a mask? Will laws be put into place to take our right away to say no? More importantly, why do we even need to raise these questions? I assert that we should not even need to say why we are choosing not to wear masks. Not wearing masks should be the norm. Wearing them should be the exception. Now, critical thinking skills, okay? There are Oriental nations. Don't want to name them because I would be wrong, but I know there are some cultures that they wear a mask all the time, okay? Do your research. Have cultures that wear a mask all the time, have they been exempt from the COVID virus? No, they have not, okay? More evidence that shows that wearing a mask does not prevent or protect you from a respiratory illness, all right? Anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers simply want to live in a world in our natural state, breathing the pure air that nature provides us with and living with an uncontaminated body that we are born with. Well, I have to kind of take a little exception there. We know that we are born contaminated, okay? They have taken DNA from umbilical cords and have found that the little newborn baby in the umbilical cord had multiple heavy metals, different kind of phytoestrogens, different kind of things that passed through the mom right into the baby. So the babies are not really born anymore uncontaminated, but we certainly don't want to contaminate the situation or complicate the situation, I should say. It is a false narrative, this doctor says, and an agenda to control our every move when we are required to submit to invasive procedures to protect the health of others, especially when those measures can make us sick or even kill us. So what do we do? Well, here are some things that you can do. If you have media contacts, you have people that you know in radio, television, that kind of thing, then you can encourage them to at least present both sides, all right? If you are brave, and this is real bravery, and I have friends that do this. I have not done this because I don't go out all that much, but I'm not really intimidated, like I said. But we have friends that go, and when they are kind of attacked for not wearing a mask, they'll ask to speak to the manager, and they'll tell the manager, look, I have a medical condition. Did you know? Blah, 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 blah. There's no placebo-controlled studies. Did you know? The Surgeon General said, did you know? And the manager goes, no, I had no idea. We're just following what corporate said. Well, would you look into it? And almost 100% of the time, when you educate people, they'll change the rules. We have friends that have gone into their doctor's offices. Now, we know that most doctor's offices require you to wear a mask. I took my son to the dentist a few months ago. I did not have to wear a mask. They all wore masks. I didn't have to wear one. Nobody said anything about it to me. I was all by myself. It was all good, okay? And that's what we want. We want to be able to educate people to let them know that, hey, I understand you're doing what you're told to do, but really, blah, 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 nicely, appropriately, and they will change because they don't know. So use your influence for good, okay? Talk to your state and local representatives, your legislators. Talk to them frequently, okay? Be involved in your local chamber of commerce, even if you don't have a business. Be involved. I have on my cell phone, maybe even on speed dial, right? Our local people, our mayors, our city councilmen, our state legislators, there's chiefs of staff. Why? Because when something comes up that they need to vote on, I'm quick to send them a text message. I want you to vote this way. So the more of us do that, the better it is. Dan Crenshaw is our U.S. representative. His chief of staff is on my speed dial, and I contact them regularly. At the State House, I know those people up there, that I contact them regularly. Because why? Because they represent us. If they don't know what we think, then they don't know what we think, and they're not going to rule the way we want them to rule. They represent us, so make your voices heard. Let them know you do not support mandates for masks or vaccines, and that you are watching how they vote on those issues. Talk to individuals who are wearing masks because they think they should, okay? Encourage them to stand strong in their beliefs to not wear a mask. I do not wear a mask. If I'm challenged, I say, no, this is the doctor. I have a condition that prevents me from wearing a mask. I would like to shop in your store, eat in your restaurant. I hope that's okay. But if you refuse, I'll just take my money elsewhere. As a small business, I don't know how anybody can afford to let people who come in to buy your stuff, eat your food with money in hand. You want to turn them away because you want to enforce a political mandate that really does nothing to help anybody, okay? So if you are nice and gentle, now the people at the front desk at the restaurant, they probably don't have the authority to do anything, but you can ask to speak to the manager. You can make your voice heard, and you know, the bottom line is going to change this at some point, because our poor restaurants, I feel for them, operating at 25 to 50%, they were built for 100%. Their bottom line is they make money when they are 100% productive, right? And that's what we want. And so we need to change that. Then this is the fourth thing. There are several lawsuits currently underway to take legal action against forced mandates. Help these groups by raising funds to support their advocacy work and their legal action. I know in our area, there is a lawyer that I know. He said he will represent you for free if you get in trouble for not working. This is a lawyer, okay? He knows this is not a legal thing. This is a pressure thing. And this is the thing. If we fall to the pressure, right, then they don't need to go through all the steps to have a law, so don't fall. Join local activist groups to network with like-minded people in your community, to organize with them, to align your points of view. There is strength in numbers, and this is true. There are a lot of people I've seen in the news in the past couple of weeks with schools not letting their students play sports. Everybody got riled up. They went to the school board. They went to the State House, and this is in all over the nation. People are revisiting what they said because the people that they represent are coming up and saying, this is not what we want. We want our kids to play sports. We want this to happen. We want that to happen, whatever. So there's a lot that you can do. Be informed, okay? If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Be free. We are in the land of the free and the home of the brave, okay? So we want to be able to do that. I want you to be safe. I want you to have the convictions that you need. If you need any help from us, if you need any documentation from us, we can definitely point you in the right direction, okay? We're not here to tell you, you must do this or you must do that. What we want to do is present the science, the actual science behind it. And I will just tell you, wearing a mask is going to make you sick, okay? Please, you are not responsible for anybody else's health. Please don't let somebody intimidate you for being a good person because you're looking out for somebody else. That's not how we do that, okay? If you wear a mask and you are contaminated, I'm just saying, you're going to spread the disease anyway. So wearing a mask does not mean you're helping somebody else, okay? So that is the science. The science, I think it's 82 studies say a mask does not prevent the transmission of a respiratory virus. So be encouraged, be strengthened. Knowledge is power, okay? Let us know how we can help you. Have a great weekend. Do a lot of self-care. Love you guys very much. Thanks for spending this 30 minutes with me. Talk to you soon.